Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 27th of July 2022. Well, that was a funny old thing recently, wasn't it? Where the host of the debate collapsed. I don't know if you're aware, if you're from foreign countries, overseas, but we've decided in this country in the last general election or two to follow the American presidential thing where the candidates have debates ahead of the election, and we started doing that, like I say, 2 or 3 general elections ago. And for some reason they've decided to do it for this Conservative Party leadership contest as well. There's only 2 candidates left now, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, and they had this televised debate very recently. Very stupid idea, to be honest with you, because all it does, I would have thought, is expose divisions in the party, which I'd have thought was the last thing they wanted. But sort of hey-ho, you can always rely on a politician or a couple of politicians to do stupid things. But anyway, the host of the programme actually fainted. He saw Liz Truss talking, and then there was a big crash and she kind of looked really shocked like that. And yeah, and then I think it had to be scrapped after that, the whole programme, because of this. So it seems to be a bit of a spate of this sort of thing going on. News presenters and hosts of various TV programmes who 1 minute they're just standing there and then they kind of just keel over like that. I don't know if that was a thing prior to a year or 2 ago. I certainly can't remember it happening before, sort of rather recently. I'd have thought if some well-known TV presenter sort of collapsed whilst being live on air, it would have been big news. So I can't remember anything ever happening like that. And needless to say, this host had a certain thing. So it just makes you wonder, doesn't it, if these collapses that these people are suffering from are all part and parcel of the same kind of thing that I've been talking about, especially recently with that latest London shopping trip. If that host of that show or that debate is just another victim of the same kind of thing. Anyway, so moving on, I've got a couple of things to read out here. I subscribe to a couple of newsletters myself that comes through in my email. One of them is a guy called Rob, and he sends out an email newsletter every week. And in his, not his latest one from this week, but from his newsletter of last week, he had a very interesting little segment. And basically, this is one of his readers emailing into him, so it's kind of a little bit third or fourth hand of this, but I've got no reason to doubt the truth of this. Anyway, I'll read it out what Rob's written here. I had an email this week from a reader that recited the following experience at his doctor's. It's interesting to say the least. He said he went to see him this week, and as part of his review was asked if he'd had, the treatment. He expected to be involved in a difficult conversation, as he said he hadn't. The doctor said he would advise against having them and was treating many people for side effects from it. He also revealed that he and some of his November Hotel Sierra colleagues were quietly advising people not to have any more. He added that there were many doctors who feel this way and have been reluctant to speak out for fear of losing their licence. And then he just rounds off, let's hope this gathers momentum. So, wow, that's all I can say to that. If there are sort of people in that profession up and down the country quietly speaking out, well, it's better than nothing. Obviously, it would be a lot better if they were publicly speaking out, but I guess if you've got mortgages to pay and family to feed, that's easier said than done. And I also saw another thing, little video clip of this lady in Canada who was reporting on the situation over there, and apparently there's quite a few docs over in that country who are basically getting fake, well, they're not getting fake ones, they're actually sort of just getting them and sort of in a false kind of manner, I suppose you could call it. The things you have to have over in Canada, the passports for a certain thing, and apparently this is happening among quite a lot of doctors over there, and they're getting them for themselves and their families. So why do you think they would want to be getting these passport things in a fraudulent manner? Can't quite think of it myself. Maybe you can enlighten me on that. So let us just move on to the last thing. I'm going to circle back to politicians here. Basically kind of just illustrates what I think of politicians and probably what you think of politicians. So it's kind of a little joke thing I saw in one of my Telegram groups here. So one day a florist went to a barber for a haircut. After the cut, he asked about his bill and the barber replied, "I cannot accept money from you because I'm doing community service this week." The florist was pleased and left the shop. When the barber went to open his shop the next morning, he found a thank you card and a dozen roses waiting for him at the door. Later, a cop comes in for a haircut, and when he tried to pay his bill, the barber again replied, "I cannot accept money from you. I'm doing community service this week." The cop was happy and left the shop. The next morning, there was a thank you card and a box of donuts waiting for him at his door. Then a politician came in for a haircut. I think you can guess where this is going to go. And when he went to pay his bill, the barber again replied, "I cannot accept money from you. I'm doing community service this week." The politician was very happy and left the shop. The next morning, when the barber went to open up, there was a dozen politicians lined up waiting for a free haircut. And that, my friends, illustrates the fundamental difference between the citizens of our country and the politicians who run it. And then this thing just finishes with a quote from Ronald Reagan, apparently, who said once, "Both politicians and diapers, or nappies as we call them over here, need to be changed often and for the same reason." So yeah, I think that sums up what we all think of politicians, and it's amazing how much confidence has been lost in that particular breed of people, isn't it? Especially over the last couple of years, but also in the years preceding that as well. And I think if any politicians ever end up seeing this, I think you need to think long and hard and about what you can do to restore sort of public confidence in you. And oh, by the way, you might sort of make a good start on that by not being a puppet of these alphabet organisations, which, by the way, reminds me of another bit of news I saw today. Apparently Johnson, when he eventually goes as Prime Minister of the UK, is going to become sort of, top dog in, I think it was NATO. So he's obviously getting his nice little globalist payoff for services rendered. So as I say, politicians, if you don't want to be sort of seen as dodgy, stop doing dodgy stuff like that and accepting these sort of positions into these sort of corrupt organisations. So with that, I'll leave it and be back tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.